What's going on YouTube? We got some quick look today. I got a couple of green lights that I found. One was part of a mail call and the other one I found retail. The vintage ad cars from Greenlight's going to be a really exciting series. I did find the 69 Datsun 510 Baja car, so that's a really cool car. It's an actual vehicle, of course. And they created it because there was an ad for Datsun, late 60s. This is depicting the 1969 Mexican 1000 cars, right before they called it the Baja 1000. And Brock Racing Enterprises ran this vehicle with Datsun factory support. So we're going to take a look at this car. It's really, really cool. It's a 69 and it's using the new 510 body, four-door body that they've had. Just recently released. It almost matches the two-door, identical in size. And we're going to look at an 87 Chevrolet Caprice, the New York City Taxi hobby exclusive. So we'll take a look at that too, because I try to get as many of the box Caprices as I can. And so we'll take a look at that. And we'll see the differences between that and the police car that's been released. And so let's get started. Let's take a look at this Datsun. This thing is awesome. The box art is really cool. Let's get this propped up a little bit so the lights can see it. Very, very nice packaging. Of course, that is the actual ad. And I'll zoom in so you all can take a still and kind of read that. That's an actual ad. And when I flip the package around, what's cool about this is they do the whole ad by itself. So I'm actually going to take this card out of the clamshell and I'm going to cut this out. And I'm going to use that as a background for the car, because I got the whole ad right there, unobstructed basically. So I love vintage ads. I think this is going to be a series that I'm going to collect a lot of. Now, some of these vehicles that come in the series are going to be duplicates, or previous castings, I should say. But the 72 Ranchero being beat out, I've been trying to find it locally. I might have to just get it online. That also has come out in the Hollywood Hitch and Tow. They're doing a Starsky and Hutch set that I've seen, but I didn't buy it because I really don't care for the Torino casting. So, didn't get it. But this Datsun 510, I love the livery on it. I might get the Javelin as well. I don't have a Javelin casting, and I kind of like the green. It comes in a hunter green. Really striking colors. This was how BRE prepped these cars. Basically, they took the factory cars, the quote-unquote safari cars that Datsun made up for rally racing in Europe and Africa, the world rally race, and they ran the cars in Baja. So BRE in 1969, I think they campaigned 4 510s and a few pickups from Datsun. This was one of the 4 safari prepared cars, as they were called, the Safari 510s. And Brock kind of prepared them for the Baja, for the Mexican 1000. So there are slight changes. They're running the small 4-cylinder. I think it was about a 2-liter motor, normally aspirated. In race tune, it was around 100, a little bit over or under 100 horsepower. Light vehicle, 2-wheel drive car in the rear, stick shift. The Datsun's 510s were pretty advanced during the same time. These are the ones that were starting to really dominate for the American Trans Am series. Namely, they had the Alfa Romeo and the 2002 BMW, and this thing was just cleaning their clocks. And those are BRE prepared cars. So this has a metal base, of course, and actually, when you compare this car to the existing 2-door 510 casting, it's pretty much identical. So I was thinking, when I looked at this car, it looked very similar to what I've already had. And it really is. And I think in actuality, in real life, I think the cars were about the same. I don't think there was really any difference except that they would make one a 4-door and one a 2. You know, this body might have been smaller. I just don't know for sure because I didn't do the deep research on it, but they did have, this car also came as a wagon, of course. No, I think that was a little bit larger than these two, but again, you can comment below and correct me. Awesome, striking colors. Let's take a zoom. Really cool. Let's get that to focus. All period correct graphics, Tampa work. This is one of the 4 cars. This one was number 90. I think there was a number 88, etc. You can see the drivers. Got your light right there. It's very, very dark, of course, in the middle of the desert. There's no lights whatsoever at night. Lighting was almost as important as anything else when these cars were racing. It was very, very, very important to have good, strong lighting. Opening hood, and unlike the earlier 510s, they actually just paint the block and the air cleaner and leave the fender aprons and firewall body color. I mention that because when you look at this one, it has a lot of blue. Now, this could be done, and I haven't really seen color photographs of this car running back in the day. You know, BRE could have had those painted blue, but I don't know for sure. But this is really cool looking. The steel wheels that they're using on this casting look amazing. Now, when you see these cars in pictures, they're a little bit more aggressive in terms of the tires and wheels. They were jacked up slightly as well. And this is more of a street tire, it looks like, on here. So, yep, my little light came off. Glue that back on. I think what happened was I dropped something on this and it got a little loose, but an easy fix. I just love the graphics. So cool. Back here. So you can see Datsun. And you can see there's a little bit of flashing on that tail light, and they're a little crooked. I might take a little bit of a heat gun and straighten that out. You can see on this 510, it's all solid red. Just as a comparison. Separate chrome bumper. It's got 90 on the roof there. Zoom that a little bit. There we go. And of course all the weather stripping is picked out as well. So all that black lines around the windows, all the black weather stripping. Got the pillar vent there and that piece of trim. You got the old BRE right there. And of course your drivers. So superb car. Very, very nice looking vehicle. So I kind of brought down the garage to have that as a background. I think the car's very, very nice, and I hope to find one more to keep in the card. And really cool stuff. So also goes well. See, after he ran the 510s, he was able to start using 240Z Safari cars. And they ran in Baja and the Mexican 1000 as well. He eventually got out of racing for a while, and I think the mid-70s, I think it was 74, 75, and he started to, believe it or not, do hang gliders as a competition and construct and design hang gliders and become a very, very heavily championed. His team won a lot of events, so he made his name in that type of aerodynamics as well. And while we're on the subject of Brock, since the movie Ford versus Ferrari came out, it started me to research again. And when you look at one of my favorite cars, the Shelby Daytona Coupe, which this is actually from Shelby Collectibles diecast line. I don't know if you can still get this casting or not, but this is one of the best 1/64th cars I got. And I remember this, I think I got this when Toys R Us was still open. In the States anyway. I know Canada, they have them. But I bought this car, and I think it was about $10, but it really is like a Kyosho or something. I mean, it's just beautiful. Really thin casting. I'm just going to show it real quick. opening doors. And this is the coupe that Brock basically designed, and there's a really great story about how he was able to get this done through Shelby's, because at the time in the 60s, before he created Brock Racing Enterprises, he worked for Shelby, and he penned this car design. And what was revolutionary about it was basically no one had really done that tail like that, and this was really something he said he found that the Germans had worked up in the 30s during the war. Before the war, they had a lot of studies on aerodynamics, and he used those studies to kind of figure out all the shapes on this car. Bottom line, what was underneath this car was basically borrowed from the Cobra Roadster. A lot of the same components, but he put this body on because they needed more speed, and in addition to that, when you have more speed, you have to have more aerodynamics, and he had a benefit of having better fuel economy. So he didn't have to over horsepower the vehicle to get the speed he needed. And basically, after they constructed a car to test, it proved itself by going and setting lap records and testing records when they were testing the prototypes. So after that, the whole Shelby crew got involved and made these cars a successful vehicle. But this is from Peter Brock, and after his successes here, he became successful with Datsun as well before he went to go do his. Oh, and by the way, you can probably see the bottom here in case you want to try to research this one. Again, the Shelby Cobra Daytona Coupe. All construction with screws. So this car can be taken apart. I never had to do it though. It was perfect. It rolls perfectly. Of course, the tires aren't as wide as the actual ones. The real car tires are very wide. So these cars had the 7 liters in them, Fords, and I don't think he used small blocks. I think these cars were 64, 65, 66, something like that. He tried very hard when he was running these cars. He started in 1967, and the first Mexican 1000, he used a Datsun pickup truck. Then he went to the 510. And then I think in 70 or 71, he went to the 240Z, which this is not a Brock car, but basically they were very similar to this vehicle here, which is also another Greenlight casting. Tried very hard, but he always came in second, and that was because they were still using components that they could not change out. In 69, the failures were the suspension pieces, namely the shocks, and unfortunately was unable to win. And believe it or not, the one that won in those 2 times, those 2 years, was a Saab vehicle, and they were smaller cars, or about the same size, but they were just a little bit more hardy, and they could take the abuse, and they were the ones that won. But Datsun, I guess, was faster. It just wasn't as reliable in the harsh conditions. So there is our Datsun story for now. More to talk about with Brock once I have more Brock stuff to show you. So great, cool little cars. And for our last vehicle today that I found, and it's been kind of slim because this is the season to buy for others, not yourself. So I have been busy with other things, as well, of course, going to work, having to pay for these cars in the first place. I love the graphics on this. They're doing a 2-car set. They have the Caprice, and they also have the Checker Marathon with the same background. I did get 2 of these because this is probably going to be something special, and they won't run these too much, I think. But you never know, they could do another run. There's the back. Of course, there's no set information. But it does have the other taxi, which is the what is it? The Checker. So both have the same livery, so they got the same graphics, and they'll have the checkerboard stripe right there. Now, they did use checkerboard stripe in New York City, but a lot of the cars I would see growing up in New York City or going into New York City from New Jersey would be basically the same vehicle but without the stripe. And I might add, without the full wheel covers. A lot of these cars, maybe some of them had it, but most of them either had hubcaps already taken off the car at this point because they were living a very rough life, or they would have the dog dish hubcaps. Most of the time, though, from what I can recall, because they lived such a hard life with the streets, that they really never had hubcaps. It was just steel wheels. Not to mention, they were running these tires off all the time, putting new tires on. So they were just zipping these wheels on and off all the time, brake jobs and stuff like that. Hubcaps usually get lost in translation. They have Greenlight superb rooftop sign for the taxi. It just looks very good. Let's take a little zoom here. Someone had mentioned to me on my other Caprice video that these headlights on this casting are flush, and indeed they are. Because if you want to be reminded, on the 90 Caprice, which really definitely would have flush headlights, you could see they're inset. So someone might have made a mistake asking which casting to use, because unlike the Monaco and the other cars from Greenlight, this nose of the car is part of the body. It's not interchangeable. Also the Ford Crown Victoria wagons, where they can just swap out the front. These are cast, so they should have used this casting, not this one. This one would look good for the 80s, mid to early 80s Caprice. Those headlights would have worked, because all you had to do is just put the line right there in the middle, and then you'd look like you have the old school headlights. It went to these headlights in 87, and this is an 87 Caprice. Does it have, yeah, there's your serial. So, and you can see if you look closely, see if hopefully this doesn't fall over. There we go. So incredibly sharp tampoing, as always. And then you can also see the hubcap there. And on this package, this car, all the tires are on the right side. You can see here. They're all facing the right direction. Greenlight, when they run these tires, they have two different tread patterns. One like that, you can see right there. And then they have the thicker pattern there. I tend to like the smaller pattern. I did flip this one around. Let me get this here. It's all the same. The thinner pattern, I think that looks better. I still haven't done a black wash on these wheels. I probably should do that. I'll get to it. So, and again, another thing I love about this Caprice is how they do the windows. You can see how much depth is in that, all the pillars on the roof here, or going to the roof rather. Now this interior is like an LS Brougham interior, because you can see it's got the ribbing on the seats, and then it's got that fold down armrest. The taxi cabs always had bench seating, all basically a smooth vinyl material. This is more of an upscale interior with the ribs, if you can kind of see that. So this will look good, because they're going to be doing the hobby shop of this car, and it's going to be basically an 85 Brougham Caprice, or a Caprice LS, whatever the top one was called in 85, I forget. But anyway, it'll have the tube top, you know, the soft vinyl top, and it'll have the contrast interior and all that. So that, I'm excited to get that one. That'll definitely be in the collection in multiples too. And of course you got the taillights that they changed to that style, which went all the way to this box Caprice. All of it went up to 90, and then in 91 it went to the bubble Caprice. So really cool stuff. A little short video today. Trying to get more cars in. I'm trying to fight the collectors, the local collectors. Been losing that battle because I've been busy. But I might have to resort to the internet, especially with shopping season all over the place right now. I'm probably going to miss out on a few things. But there's great stuff. Hot Wheels Car Culture has got some really good stuff. And so does Greenlight, of course. And Auto World, their next wave is hitting now. So the black Silverado square body and the red and white two-tone, and the two F-150 crew cabs that they just redid. or just brand new casting out, which is going to compete with Greenlight's Ford casting. So probably when I find those, we'll do a roundup on that too. But hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and subscribing. Appreciate all the comments. Happy to see the old and new subscribers returning to watch the videos. More to come. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time.